Hello everyone, Captain Vijay here. Ever wondered what it's like to be a NASA engineer or an ISRO engineer? I always had a dream of becoming an engineer, if not for merchant navy. And as an engineer, I always had a knack of machinery, fixing things, breaking things, and fixing it. I was always keen on speaking to someone from NASA or ISRO to share what it's like to be a engineer or an astronaut. Unfortunately, not at the moment, but yes, someday in future, I will try my best to speak to an astronaut. That is, I believe, one of the dream come true of many boys and girls to be an astronaut someday. It's one of the most challenging and respectful profile, I would say. It would leave your legacy behind if you're an astronaut. I was lucky to speak to Zaida Hernandez. She is a NASA thermal design engineer. She's working at the NASA Johnson Space Center. She was very kind enough to come to my show and speak on few questions and just a quick short interview kind of session. She is a very busy person, but I was lucky that she gave me some of her time for this show and episode. Now let me just share a little bit of her bio. She is a thermal design engineer working at the NASA Johnson Space Center. She supports the Artemis program. We'll be asking her what's Artemis. She's working on the thermal system for the ORION spacecraft, which is the vehicle with taking the next person to the moon. She graduated with bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering in 2015. She holds a master degree in industrial engineering from University of Houston in 2017. She joined NASA as an intern and now she's a full-term thermal design engineer. She's also a STEMINIST. She loves to participate in STEM and NASA outreach events, particularly those geared towards women and underrepresented groups. She published recently a bilingual children's book about space known as SPACECRAFT to help aspire the next generation of scientists and engineers. This book is available on the Amazon Kindle as well. Let's not wait. I'm very excited to speak to her, Zaida Hernandez. Thank you, Zaida. Thank you so much for coming on my show and giving your precious time to help understand our seafarers what it's like to be a NASA engineer. If you can just share your journey from being a mechanical student to a successful NASA engineer. How did your journey start? From where did you get your inspiration? When did you decide that you want to be a NASA engineer?
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining on. So I got my inspiration. I was really interested in like astronomy and just learning more about the universe and what's out there when I was a child. So I would say probably 5 years old is when I started realizing that it was something that was of interest to me. And then as I grew older, I didn't really understand what I could do and how I could work in the space industry. So actually, there was a couple of years where I thought I wanted to do architecture. And it wasn't until I was older again in high school that I live in Houston, Texas. So this is where we have the NASA Johnson Space Center. And here they have opportunities for students where you can do internships. So when I was a high school senior, I had the opportunity to apply and be accepted to a NASA internship. So when I went there, that was my first time where years we're working on, and that was something that really inspired me to pursue mechanical engineering. So when I went to university, I went to the University of Houston. There I studied mechanical engineering for my bachelor's and then industrial engineering for my master's. And through that time, I continued applying for different NASA internship programs. And I had different opportunities to go back to NASA and learn about different projects. So I got to work on some really cool things. Some of the projects were working on the astronaut spacesuits, doing testing on new boots and gloves. I also worked on a system, it's called Argos, where they do like simulations, because you can't simulate gravity right on like the moon or space as you can on Earth, but we have some machines where you can try to simulate that. So I worked on the mechanical systems of that machine called Argos. I also worked in the thermal engineering department. So every time you come back to Earth on a spaceship, you experience very high reentry speeds. So we work with different materials and do different type of testing to simulate those reentry temperatures. So that's a little bit about how, like, what I do and how I was inspired to work at NASA.
Okay. You talked about the mock facility. Is it the space vehicle mock-up facility you were talking about?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So have you ever tried being a part of the mock-up facility, or it's not allowed?
So they do have volunteers. A lot of times it's some of the people on the team. The year that I worked there, they were doing a complete redesign of the system so that they could have like extra safety features. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to try it myself, microgravity simulation. So I don't know if you've heard of the Vomit Comet. There's like a plane that simulates microgravity. It's the 0G plane. Okay, well, yeah, they have a plane that they use at NASA and the astronauts are able to train on it. So this plane, it goes out from Ellington Field, which is close to the NASA center where I work. And it goes over the Gulf of Mexico and it flies like this, like a parabola. And whenever it goes up, you experience 2Gs. And then whenever you go down, you experience microgravity. And like in those 30 seconds to 1 minute, you float. And then you do that like 20 times. So you experience the microgravity, which is really an incredible feeling.
I don't think so. I would be able to get that experience in this life. But since I had this interview planned with you, I have been telling my 6-year-old daughter that I showed you a photo and I have told her that you have to study hard, get into a good engineering college and, become a NASA engineer. And then I showed her your pics and some of the videos with, with NASA in the background. So she was very happy. But she's like, hey, I'm too young for... I said, okay, it's not now. You have to plan for 10, 20 years later on.
Yeah, no, and I think it's something really cool, the age that we're living in. So we haven't gotten into that part, but now we have so many other space companies that are working with NASA. Some of them are even working independently, but there's just so many other opportunities. Before, I think we just had like limited number of astronauts, but even now we have private astronauts, which realistically right now, it's just like a lot of the millionaires that are getting those opportunities or celebrities. Yes. But I think as time goes by and there's more companies, there's going to be more opportunities, and those experiences to be astronauts or to be space tourists are going to be more accessible to, I would say like normal people. So that's also something that is going to be really great for your daughter's generation.
Yes. And since you mentioned that you're working as a thermal design engineer and you are supporting the Artemis program, working on the thermal system for the Orion spacecraft. So can you share a little bit of technical, what is this Artemis program? Yes, it's available on the NASA website. It's like we are planning to send a woman and man back again to moon. That's what, the basic that I know. So what is this Artemis program and when do you see this actual happening and when are we actually sending a person back to the moon?
Okay, yeah, so that is the basics of the Artemis program, and the timeline is about 2024, but before that happens, there's like so much more that needs to happen before the astronauts can go. So part of the Artemis program is going to be also developing a space station. So we have the International Space Station that orbits the Earth, but the new plan is to now have a new space station called Gateway. So the Gateway will be orbiting around the moon, and that's going to be also what we call a waypoint. So the astronauts would be able to fly from the Earth to the space station, and then from the space station down to the moon. So before all of that happens, the space station needs to be built. So that's why we have like a couple of years to be able to build the parts and then transport them to the orbit of the moon. And then also, before we take the astronauts, there's going to be a couple of robotic missions to the moon. So one of them is called Viper. It's the Volatiles Investigating Polar Exploration Rover. And that rover will be going to the south pole of the moon, which is an area of the moon that has not been explored yet. So the purpose of that rover is going to be going to the south pole to find resources, so water resources. And once it finds areas where there is water ice, it will be able to create a map. And now that you have the map, the astronauts will be able to go to those locations and start building an Artemis base camp. So that's kind of a more extended idea of why you'll have the robotic missions, when the astronauts can go, and then some future plans.
So you're planning to have a base camp on the moon?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's more of the extended plans, but right now, before like the lunar landing, there has to be that gateway. So that's step one, then lunar landing, and then the base camp.
Okay, so the gateway will be in the lunar orbit, and we have a space station gateway, and then we will be having a base camp on the moon. And are they going to spend some time on the moon surface and do the research and come back to the gateway and go back, or they will just finish it in one go and come back to the gateway and then back to the space station?
No, so this is planned for a couple of years to do research. So after Artemis 3 is when they will be doing some of the lunar landing. So we'll do Artemis 1 at the beginning of next year, so 2022. And then you'll send Viper around 2023, that's the lunar rover, and then astronauts 2024. But after that, we're planning to send more things to help the astronauts building the base camp. We're also going to be sending a lunar vehicle. Right now we're calling that lunar terrain vehicle, but with that vehicle, they will be able to explore more of the lunar surface than they could if they're just walking around. So now they'll have like a car where they can explore other areas of the moon. So that's planned by, I would say, like 2026 or something like that. So there will be different, like a longer time period where they can do their research and go to the gateway and back.
Okay, it's really interesting. I mean, I can just imagine that. And okay, for other viewers who are more keen into this, there is this Artemis plan PDF available. It's a 74-page available on the NASA website. It's free to download. It's detailed information is given about the Artemis program. So I would recommend people to download and read more about this Artemis. Next, Zaida, about your book. So your book is the Space ESPACIO. It's a Spanish term. So can you just tell me what is this Spanish term for, and from where did you get this idea, and how did you execute it?
Okay, yes. So space, and the direct translation for that in Spanish is espacio. So really it's just the word space twice. So space, but one is in English and one is in Spanish. So it's actually a coloring book and also fun facts for kids. I got the idea just because as a child, I really enjoyed art and drawing, which is kind of interesting because I think most of the time people think if you're an engineer or a scientist, you have to only be interested in math and physics and chemistry and sciences, which that was not the case for me. I always really enjoyed the arts. I also do a lot of outreach with children. So I go to schools and I talk to them about Artemis or about some of the different projects that I work on. So that's where the idea came from, just to serve as another tool for children to learn about space and to be excited about space. And so I'm a Latina and I speak Spanish at home. I speak English at work. There are not a lot of tools available for bilingual students. So this was also a way that I found that would be good for students, for the children to keep both of their languages, to learn the vocabulary for space in both English and Spanish. And how did I go about this idea? So all of it mostly happened through COVID times. So I was at home and there was not much to do because everything shut down. So I had the idea before, but I have a lot of ideas and I sometimes don't have time to work on them. But when COVID happened, March of 2020 now, I had the time. So really, I started finally developing the idea of putting together finding the facts that I wanted to use. I started making the illustrations. So I drew all of the illustrations in the book on my iPad and put everything together. I did self-publishing on this one. And then I also started working on a few more projects. So I have some more projects coming up in the future, some more children's books.
Great. I seen it. It's available on the Amazon and Kindle. I'll be downloading it for my daughter.
Thank you. Yeah, I think she'll enjoy it.
She will. Next, I'm going to trouble you about you mentioned that you're an active STEMINIST. So can you share what is a STEMINIST and what are your goals, objective to ensure we increase the presence of women and we inspire more STEMINISTs like you?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so a STEMINIST, it's kind of a newer term, but really it just means you're an advocate for STEM, so science, technology, engineering. It's not a huge presence of women in STEM, but it is something that has been increasing over the years, which is really great. There's a number of reasons why there are not the women in the space, well, not just space, but in the STEM industries. A lot of times it's just been because of background and they didn't feel that they fit in, or just like stereotypes, they go into some other fields. So what I try to do is I like to go out and talk to schools. I also talk to different organizations that are specifically for girls and just really provide myself as kind of like a role model for them, just so that they can see themselves like it's actually possible, because it's different whenever you read about it or you like see it on the internet, but you don't know anybody firsthand. So I like to provide myself as kind of a reference, maybe, if I can call it that, so they can ask questions to me, and then just provide them with a lot of information of what it's actually like in the field. So I think another part of it is that, again, this one isn't even a stereotype, it's more like statistics. When you go through the classes, there's a lot of males. So just letting them know really the truth about what that is like, and that they're not alone. There's other organizations like SWE, Society of Women Engineers, where they can find girls also that are studying engineering. So really that's kind of what I like to do, just going out there and providing the information and being honest with the girls and letting them know that, hey, like, I'm one of the ones that's an engineer, but I'm definitely not the only one. So there's room for many more, and that they can be one of those girls too.
I can relate to that. In Merchant Navy as well, we have very less number of female seafarers in the engineering as well as in the deck sites. They're not motivated, or they always have this resistance also from the parents to join this male-dominated industry. But it's good that now we have this awareness through social media, and I'm on a small scale. I interview like you and many other female seafarers, and then they share the journey and how they started the journey from cadet to becoming an engineer and a captain, and how they fought the challenges that they have faced on board the ships, wherein people have told them that you don't belong here, and then they have made the mark. So, and if you get to hear such stories, the girls who are in the schools and colleges, they will be motivated. They can show the video to their parents that we also want to be like her, or achieve more than what she has achieved. So
and
do you have a website?
Sorry to interrupt you. So I do have a website, and I do a lot of outreach now through social media too. So on Instagram, I talk about some of those things about being a woman in STEM or my journey at NASA and some of the cool things that I get to work on. I did want to highlight a point that you had about STEMINIST. So I think sometimes there's a misconception too that a STEMINIST is only a female, but no, like right now you're being a STEMINIST by supporting women or others who want to go into the STEM fields, and by your interviews, your show, you're able to get that information out into the world, and provide the tools that students might need for motivation or to help, them get that information to their parents. Because I have heard that too, where some of the females that I've gone to school with have said that, well, I almost didn't come because my parents didn't want me to go through the troubles because it's just a male-dominated field. So I really appreciate the show that you have, and providing the time for me to come and talk about being a STEMINIST. But yes, I do have a website, but I think it's easier to find me through Instagram.
Yes, Zaida is available on Instagram. She's very much active there. And recently I saw that she has been posting the vacancies for the internships at NASA. You're very much active about that. And you shared some photos. I saw your stories. Also, you're available on the LinkedIn as well. Hopefully, we see your blogs as well on your website very soon.
Yeah.
Another question before I fire those rapid fun questions. Now we have this. We have 12 astronauts who have actually landed on the moon. All of them are male. Do we see actually, like we have this with this Artemis, we have a female and a male going on the moon yet again, but are we training some female astronauts to land on the moon very soon?
Yes, so there was the most recent astronaut class. I don't remember if it was 2018, but from that astronaut class, half of them were males, half were females, and those from that group is where one of the Artemis astronaut could come from. But we also have some previous females who have been training. So really there's a pretty good group of women who could potentially be some of the ones that go to the Artemis program. I think another thing to note that isn't as well known, because I think everybody now knows that it's going to be a female and a male, but now there's also been the promise that there will be the first person of color. So it will not necessarily be a white man and a white female. It can be someone of Indian descent. We have an Indian descent astronaut. We have a Salvadorian parents astronaut. Yeah, so I don't know who it will be, but I'm excited to see that representation in that way too.
I'm also very much excited to see a woman landing on the moon. It will be really, I hope to see that name very soon. Okay. One simple question. Now, if somebody like my daughter, she's just young, but what if somebody who is already an engineer, okay, mechanical engineer, or any other field which is one of the requirements to be a NASA engineer? What's the step-by-step or just basic, to apply for NASA and, become an engineer, like how you did? Just a step-by-step, if you can just share.
Yeah, so they have some of the very basic requirements on the website, but from what I can remember, the top of my head is having a bachelor's degree, and then a new requirement that they put out for the last astronaut class now is having some form of higher education, whether that's a master's or a PhD. So you don't have to have a PhD, you can just have a master's. And then STEM is highly encouraged, so a technical background. A lot of the astronauts have flight experience, whether that is through the military or private piloting license, but they have flight experience. Some of the other things are being in good physical condition, so they have to pass a physical test. I don't know the specifics of what they do, but I know that you have to be in good health condition and good physical form to be an astronaut. So those are some of the basics. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Which is your favorite astronaut or movie? Astronaut movie.
My favorite astronaut movie.
We have
I
like
really like.
Deep Impact and many space movies that we have seen. Interstellar is mine, one of my favorite. Interstellar. Which is yours?
Well, that's funny you said that one because that's the first one that came to mind as my favorite one. I really like Interstellar. It had very good visual effects. So I really enjoyed that one.
Okay. I saw that movie once on the big screen. I literally had to check Google and study what's five-dimensional and black hole and so many things. Then I went back again next day to watch the movie again. Then I understand maybe 20-30% of that movie.
Yeah, that one, it was very technical too. I can say that. Yeah. But it was very good. I definitely liked that one.
And how about Gravity? Gravity movie was good.
I liked Gravity. Yeah, there was a show that I was watching too. Trying to remember. So there's been some very good Netflix not documentaries. Well, some documentaries and some shows too about space that I've really liked. I'm kind of blanking on the name right now, but it's been really nice to see a lot more shows about space again. I think people are very excited about the Artemis program, and with the commercial crew partners also doing some launches of their own, there's like a renewed interest in space and the space industry. So yeah, there's not a shortage, I would say, of shows right now.
All right. Okay, now let me bombard some fun question and answers, rapid fires. So whatever comes to your mind first, please. Okay,
Okay.
describe yourself in 3 words.
Responsible, trusting, and friendly.
Friendly. I can see that. Whom do you admire the most?
My parents.
Well said. What are the 2 things that you would put on your bucket list?
Oh, that's a good one. I want to go to Italy, and I would want to. I don't know. that one is a hard one. I would like to see space tourism be accessible for people, whether that's myself or my children's generation. I don't have children right now, but if they can be astronauts or go to space, I would be happy with that too.
Okay. Who is your favorite superhero?
I like Thor.
The God of Thunder. Okay. Okay. I am a fan of Captain Marvel. Again, I support.
I also like Captain America would be my second.
Captain America. I support female, so you see, Captain Marvel is my favorite.
Yeah. I would say maybe third would be Wonder Woman.
Oh yes, can't miss her. Wonder Woman. She is a Wonder Woman in her real life as well. If you check out her bio, she is a Wonder Woman in her real life as well. Okay. Next, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
To live or just for fun?
Just for fun.
I really like tropical locations. I think I would like to go to Fiji Islands because it looks very nice.
Okay. Any plans of coming to India? If you do have plans, non-COVID times, please feel free. I would love to host you.
Yeah, that would be great. So I recently went to Brazil to do an outreach activity, and I was helping some students with an engineering design challenge. But yeah, if given the opportunity to go to India, I would love to.
Please trouble me. I would love to host you. I stay in Mumbai. There are many beautiful places in India. I would love to show you around.
Yeah, one of my favorite professors when I was studying mechanical engineering is from India. Oh. So he was telling me about all of the different things that he misses about India. One of the things was you have giant mangoes. So here we have small mangoes, but over there, I think there's some really big mangoes.
Yes, we do have. Are you a morning person or a night person?
I am sometimes a morning person on the weekends, and then I'm a night person because I like to work at night too, so it depends.
Okay. What's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby is probably art, so sketching or something that has to do with music.
Sounds good. What is that one thing that annoys you the most?
I think I get really annoyed with people who lie in your face. I think, especially if there's something that I already know the answer to and someone is faking an answer, I would just prefer that the person says, I don't have the answer. But I don't like when people make things up.
Yes, we all hate such dual standards people.
Mm-hmm.
Last question. What is the most interesting thing that you have in your wallet or your handbag?
Oh, and my purse?
Yeah, your purse.
I have, I don't know where my purse is. Oh, it's not very interesting, but I have multiple space masks. So I have like one with galaxy, one with stars, another one with stars. So because of COVID, I think right now most of my purse is full of masks.
Any chances where you can courier me one of those masks?
Oh, you want a mask? Yeah, I have a lot. I actually have some around my desk too.
Okay, this is deviating from, this is my last question to end this beautiful session that we had. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the highest, 10 is the lowest, how cool are you? I already know the answer, just your opinion.
I would say a 6.
6? Why?
Because I think I would say more than 5 because I like myself more than that. But I think a lot of times what I find interesting isn't very interesting to other people. So it might not be cool for them. Even when we're talking about like science and STEM, I think there's a small group that loves it. And there's like the other half or more than half that doesn't love it as much. Just, oh yeah, that's okay. So I would say for those reasons, probably a 6.
Well, from your post on the Insta, which I checked out, I was thinking that you're more of a cool and easy to go person from your post that I've seen, or your reels that you have been making.
I appreciate that.
I did learn a bit of Spanish during my stay on board in Mexico, but not as good as you, obviously. So mucho gracias and for being a part of this interview. I hope this 30-40 minutes of session is helpful for many women in India as well as abroad who wish to pursue the career abroad in NASA or in ISRO as well. So thank you so much, and it was really a pleasure talking to you, and thank you so much. I have been chasing you for literally 2-3 weeks, and finally to get this time set.
Yes. Thank you for your flexibility.
Everything went well. So thank you so much. Looking forward to more videos and reels in your Instagram as well as LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I think you're not that active because obviously you would not have that much time.
Yeah, I think mostly Instagram, and then I do try to respond whenever there's direct messages from the website or my email, but I don't give that one as often.
Okay. So would you like to share your website? You can just send me the message. I can add it into the YouTube description. So if anybody would like to just ping you a message, you can reply at your convenience. And I would request you, if you already have not, but simple blog of your experience. How did you go about, so that people don't keep asking you the same questions again and again. So if
Okay, yeah, that
anybody has
works.
any
Yeah,
query,
so
check out your blogs. Okay, sorted, done.
okay. Yeah, so that's a really good idea too. So I do get a lot of questions about the internships. So through Instagram, I also have like direct links that go to the internship websites. But I can add a section to my own website that talks about what the process is, and then have those direct links in there too. So I appreciate the feedback.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. And thank you once again for being an inspiration for my daughter. And she'll be very happy to see this unedited video as well. So thank you so much, and looking forward to speaking to you once again.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and then hi to your daughter.
Thank you, Zaida.